Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news now. The NFL landscape is always changing, and the Washington Commanders are no exception. They're currently in a very interesting position, especially when it comes to their defensive line. You see, for a team that's been struggling a bit to generate consistent pressure on the quarterback and to stop the run effectively, the front seven has been a point of concern. And with the season already underway, it's clear that the Commanders are actively looking for ways to bolster that unit, especially on the defensive edge. One of the names that's been floating around in NFL circles, and that's getting a lot of attention, is Drake Jackson. Now, for those of you who follow the draft, or maybe watched him at USC, you'll remember that Jackson was a pretty promising player coming out of college. Drafted 61st overall in 2022, he's a second-round pick, which means the 49ers saw potential in him. And he certainly showed flashes of that potential during his brief stint in San Francisco, playing in 23 games over 2 seasons. But then, as fate would have it, his career hit a snag. In November 2023, Jackson tore his patellar tendon, an injury that's notoriously difficult for players to recover from, especially for an edge rusher who relies heavily on explosiveness and agility. This injury not only sidelined him for the remainder of that season, but also kept him out for all of 2024. It's a tough break, no doubt about it. But what's interesting is that Jackson, despite the serious injury, has been making progress. The 49ers in May officially waived him with an injury designation. Now, that's not a goodbye forever, it's more like a fresh start, a way for teams to evaluate his health and potential once he's fully recovered. Jackson's been on the path to recovery, and according to reports, he's been medically cleared, which is a huge milestone in his journey back to the field. And here's where things get really intriguing for Washington fans. The NFL insider Adam Schefter has reported that Jackson has visits lined up with several teams in the coming days. Among those teams are the Commanders, the Baltimore Ravens, and the New York Jets. That's a pretty notable list, especially considering the Commanders' current defensive situation. Right now, Washington's defensive line depth has been tested. Both Dietrich Wise and Javonte Jean-Baptiste, who were expected to contribute this season, have been placed on injured reserve. That leaves the team a bit thin along the edges, especially when it comes to rotating fresh pass rushers and maintaining pressure on the quarterback. Veteran Preston Smith was signed on September 17th, but he hasn't seen game action yet. So, the urgency for a player like Drake Jackson makes sense. The team is clearly exploring options to add talent and depth, and Jackson could be a very intriguing choice, especially with his athletic profile and the potential to be a disruptive force if fully healthy. Now, some of you might be wondering, what about Jackson's performance before the injury? Well, even with limited playing time, he showed promise. During his stint with the 49ers, he recorded 6 sacks, which is pretty solid for a player in his second season, especially considering the limited snaps he had. Plus, he had 21 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and an interception. Those are some pretty encouraging numbers for a young pass rusher still developing his game. The fact that he was able to produce in such a short time indicates that there's still a lot of upside to his game. Of course, there are always concerns with injuries. As Adam Schefter pointed out, the 49ers front office, especially GM John Lynch, had expressed some worries about Jackson's health. Lynch mentioned that Jackson's injury was serious. A patellar tendon tear, which is comparable to the kind of injuries that other players like Mike McGlinchey, now with the Denver Broncos, have had to deal with. Lynch noted that these injuries aren't something you just recover from quickly. They require long-term rehab and careful management. He also said that Jackson has had some setbacks, or as he put it, trouble from the back end, meaning there have been hurdles in his recovery process. But it's important to highlight that Jackson has been cleared medically now. So, the worry is less about his ability to return and more about making sure he's fully ready to contribute at a high level. This brings us to the broader picture for the Commanders. They have been operating with some uncertainty along the defensive front. Their pass rush has not been as consistent as they'd like, and their ability to generate pressure has been somewhat lacking. Opposing quarterbacks have had a relatively comfortable time, which is something that needs to change if Washington wants to contend seriously in the NFC. Adding a player like Drake Jackson could be a game changer, especially if he proves he's fully healthy and ready to go. His athleticism, combined with the coaching staff's ability to rehabilitate and develop young talent, could turn him into a key piece for the team. And given that Adam Peters, the current GM, was with the 49ers when Jackson was drafted, there's a familiarity there that could work in favor of Washington. This kind of connection often helps in evaluating a player's potential fit and medical history, making the decision process smoother. Looking at the current standings, Washington is sitting at 2-2, not a bad start, but they're still searching for consistency. They rank 24th in yards allowed per game with 356, and 18th in points allowed with 22. 8. Those numbers suggest that the defense, especially the pass rush and run defense, still has room for improvement. They also have only one takeaway so far this season, which is quite low and indicates difficulty in creating turnovers, a crucial aspect of winning games in the NFL. In the upcoming Week 5 matchup, Washington will face the Los Angeles Chargers. That game is going to be a real test for their defense, especially against a team with a dynamic quarterback and talented receivers. The Chargers' offense is potent, and if Washington can get pressure on their quarterback, Justin Herbert, they could turn the tide in their favor. But that's where depth along the defensive line comes into play. If Jackson or another new addition can step in and provide that spark, it could be the difference maker that pushes the Commanders over the edge. Now, beyond the immediate roster needs, this situation with Jackson sheds some light on the team's broader strategy. The Commanders have been proactive in trying to address their weaknesses, and their familiarity with Jackson's background, given Adam Peters' history with the 49ers, suggests that they see potential in him that they want to explore further. They're not just looking for a temporary fix, they're seeking a player who might develop into a key contributor down the road. This kind of move also sends a message to the division. The NFC East is fiercely competitive, with teams like the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants all vying for supremacy. Washington's front office clearly understands that to climb the ranks and challenge for division titles and playoff runs, they need to be aggressive in improving their roster. Adding a player like Jackson, especially if he's healthy and performing well in workouts or practices, could tip the scales in their favor. Moreover, the story of Jackson's injury and recovery highlights the resilience and determination of young players in the NFL. It's a reminder that injuries, while tough, are part of the game, and how a player responds can define their career. If Jackson manages to overcome this setback and prove his worth, it could be a significant morale boost for the team and fans alike. It's also a testament to the importance of medical advancements and team support in helping players return to their best form. As we look ahead, the potential signing of Jackson could have ripple effects across the roster. It might inspire other young players to push harder in practice, knowing that the team is willing to give opportunities to those who have faced adversity. It also adds depth and competition along the defensive line, which is crucial for a team aiming to make a playoff push and beyond. So, fans, this story is still unfolding, and while the official decision is yet to be announced, the signs point to Washington being very interested in bringing Drake Jackson into the fold. It's a move that could pay off big if he's fully recovered and able to contribute. Keep an eye on this situation because it's exactly the kind of story that can define a team's season, resilience, opportunity, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Washington Commanders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And so, as the weeks go by, it'll be fascinating to see how this situation develops. Will Drake Jackson find his way to Washington? Will he be able to contribute right away, or will he need more time to get back to his pre-injury form? Whatever happens, one thing is clear: the Commanders are not sitting still. They're actively trying to improve their roster, And that's a good sign for fans who want to see their team compete at the highest level. The NFC East remains one of the most unpredictable divisions in football, and with teams constantly adjusting and reshaping their rosters, every move counts. For Washington, this could be a pivotal moment, a chance to turn the page and build a defense that strikes fear into opponents. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Jackson can make an impact if he joins the team? Are you excited about the potential of adding a player with his talent and determination? Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Commanders. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Washington Commanders news. Thanks for being with us today, and as always, let's keep the passion alive for our beloved team.